And welcome to the Olympic Hockey Show, brought to you by Purple Rain. Well, it's been a very busy summer, hasn't it? Yeah, a lot of initial rosters potentially shaping up. Summer camps. Which is a bit funny because obviously we still get to have training camps as well. So that's like what's camps, lots of camps. Yeah, so over the summer, the Olympic preparation has been getting very much underway, for both sides. Obviously, though, we're going to be covering the women's one in a lot more detail. Yeah. Of course, over the summer, we did, of course, have the initial rosters of the men's get revealed. I will do a tour bit on that. Yeah. In the next few weeks. But just a reminder, in case you didn't catch the first show we did, we are going to be bringing Olympic hockey shows to you guys between now and the end of March, where we're going to be covering the run-up to Milan-Cortina, and then obviously we will have a show where we will wrap up the tournament as a whole. And of course, I will also be doing stuff for the men's side as well once we get to it on Teleport. On Teleport. So I'm going to be covering that as well. Okay, so over the summer, a lot of camps have been underway, and we're going to go through the teams that were involved and the players that were mentioned as well. So it's going to do that. Going to do it by team by team. I've got my tablet here with me, so I'm just loading it on my tablet now to get ready. And then we should be ready to go. So just give me 2 seconds while I just load up the article. Yep, my cams heat up. Here it is. I've got it now. Alright, so let's get started. So here's a closer look at the PHL players on the radar as national teams converge for summer camps. Well, should I say converge for summer camps, because summer's definitely over now. Taking place around the world. So let's start with Team Canada. Now, Team Canada, of course, is the first country to have confirmed its coaching staff. That will be coming up on the next Olympic hockey show. That'll be coming up on the next one. I can't believe we found that out by the sector's socials. I know, right? I know, right? We get it. Okay, so Team Canada. So Team Canada recently announced its list of 30 players who would be a part of Canada's national women's team throughout the 25-26 season, with players participating in training blocks and attending events during the year. A national teams orientation camp was set for August 26 to 28. That was during the first ever women's para ice hockey tournament, which we, of course, covered. Watched that in great length. We knew Canada was going to be doing a big summer camp. We knew that Canada was going to be doing their camps, and it was not enough to sort of, they were going to do it right up to when training camps for the PHL start. So technically, it's only about 2 months to go before Canada needs to wrap up their national camp before they start. We get the PHL on the way. So Canada's camp, it feels like the biggest one so far. So let's go through it, shall we? So these are the PHL players that were involved with Canada. So goaltenders: Avenue Desbiens, Victoire, Evans, Mashmeyer, Vancouver. Katie Osborne, Sirens. Defenders, Ellen Ambrose, Victoire. Renata Fast, Scepters. Nicole Gosling, Victoire. Sophie Jakes, Vancouver. Jocelyn the Rock, Charge. Shelton, Scepters. Katie Tabin, Victoire. Claire Thompson, Vancouver. Mika Zandy Hart, Sirens. And the forwards, Emily Clark, Charge. Sarah Fillier, Sirens. Jen Gardner, Vancouver. Julia Gosling, Seattle. Brianne Jenner, Charge. Emma Malte, Scepters. Hannah Miller, Vancouver. Sarah Nurse, Vancouver. Kristen O'Neill, Sirens. Marie Fleet Glenn, of course, Victoire. Daniel Sadakny, Seattle. Yeah, Seattle. Natalie Spooner, Scepters. Laura Stacey, Victoire. Blair Turnbull, Scepters. Daryl Watts, Scepters. Okay. Any names you think stood out there you want to talk about? Well, no surprise, Marie Fleet is on there, and I imagine she's pretty much a lock. Ariana Gates, I think it's also going to be another lock for. I think both net miles for Canada a lot. I think as long as nothing happens to the Olympic Sports World Championships, it's going to be Mashmaya and Desbiens who are going to be locked in between Canada, and that's going to be an impressive lineup for Canada going into Milan-Cortina. Oh yeah, especially with the talent. I mean, imagine Sarah Fillier get on the team. Light them up. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just think that would be a huge coup if she was to get on it. That would be, wow, that's the one to watch for Canada. And especially how she's going to be seen as the rising stars of the PHL. I mean, she's had a first season last year. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it just still feels weird getting used to these players now not on different teams. Like when you, oh yeah, of course, yeah, because a lot has happened over the summer. A lot has happened over the summer in terms of that. Yeah, particularly with Claire Thompson. Oh no. Even when you knew it was going to happen, it doesn't sting any less. That's still going to say that. Or at least with the girls about it. I know. Okay, so let's now move on to, I believe we're going to move on to Team USA. Yes, we are. So Team USA, who of course we will of course be backing. And now you need to get a USA women's hockey jersey for this show. Where would I even start? I managed to get my Canada 4 Ages wall off eBay. Just Google Kendall Coyne Schofield jersey. Go for the cheap option. Right. Yeah, I am going to be Team USA for the women's, but for the men's, I'm going to be Team Canada next year. So but for Team USA, of course, we will be backing. The USA Hockey Women's National Festival was underway between August the 3rd to 9th in Lake Placid, bringing together the top American players from the under 18 level to the national team. The group includes 76 college and professional players, with the festival assisting in the evaluation around. Evaluation process to say for Team USA's staff. So the players to watch out for were the goaltenders: Anne Franco, Leet, Wyatt Phillip, Charge. I will let you cut that over to be the rest of them first. Defenders. Right, it's going to be a lot of frost in this, so there might be a lot of wooing and cheering. Okay, just bear with it, boys and girls. I mean, there were a lot of Scepters on that Canadian roster, so let's just face it. Right, defenders: Kayla Barnes, Seattle; Rory Gilday, Charge; Sabada Harmon, Scepters. Megan Keller, Fleet. Lee Steckline, Frost. Anna Wilgren, Seattle. Haley Wynn, Fleet. Forwards. Hannah Bilker, Seattle. Alex Carpenter, Seattle. Jesse Comfort, Scepters. Kayla Coy Schofield, Frost. Bria Castellemi, Frost. Taylor Heisey, come on, girl! Frost. No prices who these lot were on the US's roster in Milan. Come on, Heisey. It's her time! Gabby Hughes, charge. Harry Knight, Seattle. Casey O'Brien, Sirens. Kenny Paddock, Frost. Henny Scamona, Victoire. Greystone Wincott, Frost. So a lot of Frost players who could potentially be on the roster in Milan-Cortina. Also a lot of 2025 first rounders on that roster. You got Haley Wynn there for the Fleet, Casey O'Brien for the Sirens, Rory Gurday for the Charge. Wouldn't that just be impressive? If we got some 25 draft picks on these rosters. It would be quite impressive. And it would not be out of the blue, because obviously, you know, it's Olympic year. We can't help the fact that these players are right during Olympic year. If they can prove that they're good straight away, then what's to stop them being on the roster? Yeah, I mean, Sarah Fair looks like a shoe-in for the captain candidate in their second year. And what? Yeah, but it just feels like a lot of first-round picks from this draft literally just gone. That could be considered potential picks for Olympic roster, which I don't think we thought back at the draft. Well, there's a lot going on the draft that day. Yep. Yes, that is. Yeah, a lot of potential Frost representation. Right. Who do you think should definitely get it? Kendall and Taylor. Yeah, I'd be happy with that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think those two definitely must. I mean, Taylor Heisey missed out last time, so maybe this time could be now her opportunity. You two want to talk goaltender? Yeah. We are so excited for goaltender to USA. Yeah, I mean, this was the exact same netmind duo that was in the World Championships, correct? Yes, correct. Yeah. So, we know these two netminds are capable of the world stage. And with Graham Phillips entering her second year, on the back of playoff MVP, in the first year, yeah. If you imagine if she gets a game, I'm already falling in thinking, oh, this is going to be brilliant. Yeah, it's going to be brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing what USA will do, because I think with Canada, it's obvious our lesbians would be the main starter. Now, Mashma might get a look in one of the other groups, in a potential group match, maybe between Switzerland, maybe, or, yeah. Whereas with us, we've kind of got a tandem, haven't we? Yeah. I think we have. So yeah, it's interesting when we do get our coaching staff. It'll be interesting what will they do with line, because yeah, really, you could easily rotate Frankel and Phillips. Yup. Because the likelihood will be US Canada in the finals. Yeah. So really, you could just, for the groups, you could alternate. I think in the group stage, we could easily alternate between Phillips and Frankel, because obviously we're in Group A. Level 1 Group A is going through, regardless. Yeah. So you could basically use the groups as an opportunity to work out who's going to be more stable for the knockout stages, yeah, particularly in the finals, where you will have to definitely go against Canada. Yeah. It's an interesting tandem, and I think it's been really interesting. I mean, I think Frankel did get most of the lion's share at Czechia. She did. And then she got injured, and that's when Fierce to take over. But they were both impressive. Yeah. You can't overlook Graham Phillips this year, given how she did brilliantly to get her team into the playoffs in the first place, and then give them an opportunity, a very good opportunity, to get that World Cup. Now, that cup we got back in May was not easy to win, and that's because of Graham Phillips. So, yeah. Don't sleep on her. If you choose her to go to Milan, you gotta use her. Yeah, you gotta use her. Yeah. Okay, so let's now move on to... Let's see what we talk about next. It's team... It's Team Czechia! Team Czechia now. So, Czechia's national team brought together 46 players for a summer camp held in Prague back in late July 23rd, 28th, that's when they held theirs, to begin, obviously, the selection process ahead of Milan-Cortina. And these were the players that were mentioned. So, defenders, Daniela Pasazova, Fleet, Anita Terlova, Seattle. And forwards, Clara Harlova, Frost. Natalie Minakova, Victoire, Christina Kachnokova, Sirens, Katerina Marazova, Charge, Denisa Trishova, Vancouver, Teresa Barazova, Vancouver. So we could potentially maybe have two Frost, two teams of Frost representation potentially. Could be. Oh, that makes it awkward checking, won't it? Well, yeah, because I remember back in the days when the NHL did let players go, I always found it awkward if Sharks players were spread around other team. Yeah, because I was like, what am I supposed to do? Because I'm technically supposed to be back in the US, but what am I supposed to do? That's the Shark player, they're on the other team. What am I supposed to do? Yeah. So we'll see about that. Czechia, I think it's going to be really one that I'm going to be keeping an eye on when we get to Milan-Cortina, because I feel like me and Lady will keep saying it till the cows come home. I know. It's something I learned from a season on Big Brother during a jury round table. I've remembered it ever since. I will say, until the cows come home, Czechia could have won that bronze back in April. Oh yeah. They had every opportunity to get that bronze, but just couldn't close it out. I mean, that comeback Finn did was impressive, but I kind of felt Czechia was the better team in that game. Yes, you could argue, well, Czechia didn't play well in the group stages, but when it came to the knockout portion, which when you step up, they did. Yeah, I mean, who would have thought they would have had a 1-0 lead over us after the first bit of semi-finals? Not us two. So... And I agree with you, George, about how you're saying that Czech is a team to watch for the years ahead. Yeah, because the international gap is now going to start closing. It won't be next year. Next year it will definitely be US and Canada. And Czechia might be more in line for the bronze. But that is nationals level. The gap's now going to close. And that is thanks to the PDHL. And in a few years' time, we will start seeing teams like Czechia, like Finland, maybe Sweden, challenge the US and Canada. I nearly said Canada today. Oh dear. Challenge the US and Canada for potentially being in the gold medal match, which would guarantee you a better coloured medal than you might have hoped for. And I think it is Czechia the ones to watch. I mean, they proved it this year by hosting a brilliant World Championships. That Czechia has got potential. That program is on the rise. And of course, Carla has done wonders since she took over as head coach of that national team. Yeah, before her, they only finished best was about 6th or 5th, and they've now been to 4 consecutive bronze medal matches. Yeah, 22, 23, 24, 25. Won the first 2, lost the second 2. Right, go. Yeah, so I think Czech is the one to watch for in a few years' time. So just bear in mind going forward, think about who could win there potentially when we get to the French Alps, maybe or Salt Lake. Who could potentially be the ones to really rock the boat, because it kind of feels like now a possibility, which I think if we go back 10 years ago, would not have seen as a possibility heading into Pyeongchang. No. Yeah. So no, 10 years ago, you wouldn't think that the women's game, the US or Canada would be stopped. You also would have thought about it in the men's side as well, because the men's but that's large because it's electoral participation. Fair dues. And since we've not had electoral participation, you have seen other countries step up, which I hope we'll still have next year, despite the fact. Right, the one thing I want to say, and I will say as we'll talk about the men's tournament on the report. I hope in the men's tournament it doesn't go back to, it's US v Canada for gold. I really hope it's not that. Because other countries in the last, what will be 8 years, worth debate. So, anyway. But in terms of the women's side, you never would have thought it could be anybody else than US or Canada for gold. But now, that international gap is starting to close, and it will be, not this cycle, it's too late this cycle, maybe the next cycle, or the one after that. Definitely the one after that. I think if it's not in the French Alps, it will be at Salt Lake City in 2034. Yeah. That is what happens. The latest we'll see that gap close. Yeah. So, yeah. As we get more into the 2040s, you will see that. Oh, God. And you just say so there! As we get to those 2040s, that is when the gap will close. The rest of this, there's only one more winter in this decade. 2026, it will still be US and Canada. 2030s, you'll probably start to see that gap close. And then we get to 2040s, that's when the US and Canada will be rattled. Will be rattled because we got things like Czech and Finland. Their programs were built so well built up. I feel like it's not scrap level it's closing. And Czechia, that's going to be all the teams I'm going to keep an eye out for during next year. And of course, there'll be our group. Yeah, it's easy. Okay, so now it's time for Sweden. We're off to Sparia now. So, Sweden's national team selected 27 players for a camp that was held on the 21st to 30th of July in... I apologise to the Swedes watching, I'm going to mispronounce these. I'm going to give them a good go. In Enköping and Bolsom. I definitely not pronounced those correctly, so I apologise to the Swedes. I don't think they've ever hosted Melody Festival than stops. So, anyway. Yeah, so, the PHL players mentioned there were Anna Kilvin, Septus, the defenders, and for the forwards, Sarah Hajnlosson, Septus, and Lena Lundblom, Victoire. That's the last one to go in depth in detail. 6 more nations round out the 2026 Olympic field. We have France, Finland, Germany, Italy, Japan, and Switzerland. There you go. But that is what we've seen over the summer terms of Cancer. So what do we make so far in this very early stage? It sounds impressive. It sounds great that obviously we're getting news now, because obviously when you join the PHL, for the newbies joining us, when the off-season rolls, it goes quite on the news front. Oh, it does. So the fact Olympic year means we get to have some summer news, because really the only summer news we get over the summer months is basically free agency and any potential maybe personnel changes. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. But it's going to be really, really exciting. And I cannot wait for it to begin February the 5th. So excited. Really excited. And it's going to be absolutely incredible roller coaster. And it's great to see. There's a lot of good names there that's been mentioned today. And I think if they do get on the rosters, it will be really impressive. It's going to be a really competitive tournament, which is what we want. Now, even if we feel like we know the outcome, you will play a tournament, which I felt we have had in the 2 World Championships that we followed, George, these last 2 years. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Even though, particularly back in April, even though we knew it was going to be US and Canada, it still was quite a competitive tournament, because obviously you had both US and Canada in the same group, which meant that the other group didn't have to worry about those 2 sides, which meant they could battle out for more supposedly that group. Yeah. yeah, so we're excited. Yeah, so I think so we're definitely going to create a career tournament, even if we do feel like we know the outcome. That's the beauty about the women's Olympic program. Even if you feel like you know the outcome, it always has been a competitive tournament. We've done 4 Olympics with the women's game: Vancouver, Sochi, Pyeongchang, and Beijing. So this next year is going to be my 5th Olympics with the women's program. I felt with each tournament, even though I knew it was going to be US and Canada finals, I still felt we got a really competitive tournament. And that's what you want. Yeah. Because the question's still going to be, right, who's going to get bronze? Yep. Who's going to get bronze? But, well, in a few years' time, we won't be asking that question. Because the gap is starting to close. You may not feel it now, but you're definitely going to feel it by the time we get to Salt Lake City in 9 years' time. That could be the potentially. I mean, we don't know. I mean, the French Alps, it might be. The French Alps might be the last US-Canada one, and then Salt Lake City. That might be when we start looking at who could throttle those 2 super giants. Yeah, who could come from the pedestals. What, be like, give me that key, bitch! If she wants to call me a bitch, she could go fetch like a dog. Yeah, I don't think that's the right analogy to use there. But yeah. So it's very exciting. Obviously, of course, when we get rosters, we will be back to go through them all team by team. Obviously, any cut staff announcements, we will be bringing those to you guys. We've got Candace to do first. Candace the only one that's mentioned their stuff so far. It's crazy. Yeah, and of course, obviously, we've got loads of stuff to come between now and the end of March. Yeah, that's very exciting. I will look into a US jersey, Pluto. If you feel we need one, I feel you need one. Right now, I think maybe look for Christmas, maybe. If you want wearing Canada's Four Nations jersey, Lee, do it. Because you what? I almost got it in. Well, I'm saying, I think it should, because particularly, we're covering this for the ladies. So you need to be in US gear. Oh, for Lord's sake. I did my wardrobe, can't cover those ears. Right, I will look into it, but it might not be for a while before you see me more of those, okay? Right. By the time we get to the last one of this cycle, I will get a US jersey, alright? There we go. Yeah. You will see me probably in Canada because my Canada place one is on the way. It should be here by the end of the month or at the earliest. It's going to feel weird next year, me in the Olympics, because I've always been for both the men's and women's. I've always been Team USA, but next year the men's I'm being Team Canada. I did it for Four Nations, and I'm going to do it again for Milan-Cortina based on those initial first selections. That's for tour report. So I'm going to be covering the men's side on both tour report, on tour report. So yes, that would be just like tour report bids. So this is more like a full proper blown show. Extension. Purple Ray. Yeah. And of course, this will be one of the things. Yeah, these episodes will be, even though we're calling it Olympic Hockey Show, these episodes will be the first episode feeds, will be on your podcast feeds. Basically, yeah. So, what a great start, hey? The road to Milan-Cortina is well ahead. Even it's about, 6 months now? 6 months left till we get to Milan-Cortina. Crazy. Yeah. So that's a little summer roundup. What's been going on over the summer.